I can't believe that's my drawing! Huge thank you to you guys. I'm now a YouTube partner. Hello, welcome to a slightly different video this week. If you've been following us on our vlogging journey, my name is Chiara and I run the small business Hubinu with my husband. We are a pet-related gift company and we are currently in a stage of evolution for our business. So I thought for this video, rather than follow the format of the usual kind of studio vlogs where I take you day by day through our week and the things that we've been sort of encountering and dealing with, I'm going to do a deep dive this video into how much money we've made this month and whether we made a profit or not, and what I'm kind of doing behind the scenes to help improve our situation and to help evolve our business to get it to the place where I want it to be, where I think it needs to be in order for it to survive and continue to grow. But before we do that, I'm going to share with you my experience with some print-on-demand products. Right, so an exciting parcel has arrived. I've been trying out print on demand and I went with gelato. It was really easy to, this is not sponsored by the way, it was really easy to install on the website and for me to create a product on my iPad and upload it, and I ordered a sample for myself, so now I'm going to open it and see if I like it or not. Ooh, okay. Ooh, what do we think? What do we think? Look, I can't believe that's my drawing! Oh my god! Okay, I might work on the font. Oh, that looks good! Okay, I need to try different t-shirt styles. I'm not sure about this fabric.
Find link below.
It feels a bit scratchy, so it's not the kind of the soft, comfortable feel that I want. But
Scratchy.
Scratchy?
I really, yeah, feel it. Feel it. It's not soft.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like it needs to heavy
That's
cotton.
scratchy.
Yeah, but look at how great the illustration looks. That looks good.
I'll tell you what else looks good. My nails. Evie did my nails. Don't they look good? The problem is that I go to the coffee shop really early in the morning, and now every time I order a coffee, people can see I've got like...
So this video this week is probably really only going to be interesting to other small business owners. I've always been quite open about the money that we've made, about mistakes that I've made, things that I've learned along the way over my journey of being in business for over a decade, in the hope that it might help somebody else to learn perhaps from my mistakes. I am certainly by no means perfect. I have no formal business training. I am pretty much just navigating this through sort of like instinct and what I have learned over the years from reading many business books. I am interested in business and how it all works. I'm probably slightly more interested in that side of things than I am in the creative side of things, if I'm honest. So that's probably why I've read so much. And I do like working on the business more than I enjoy working in the business. And that is something I have learned as we've gone through this process of sort of like moving the business back home and with Phoebe leaving, because she did the majority of the working in the business stuff. So today is the 1st of June. So it gives me the perfect opportunity to kind of go over the previous month and the figures that I've been doing and the ways that I am trying to turn the business around from where the end of last year we were just not profitable at all to, well, we made like a tiny profit for the whole year, but we were sort of like running at a loss and then making that money at Christmas, and then it's all just kind of disappeared again. So I have to make the business profitable each month or else we're not going to survive. And because the business supports our household, pays my wage, my husband's wage, we obviously have to take a wage from the business, and then the business needs to be profitable. So just so that you're aware, we are a limited company. So as a limited company, normally the sort of most tax efficient way for directors of the company, so that's myself and my husband, to earn a wage is you pay yourself a basic wage every month. So everybody in the UK, as you're probably aware, can earn, I think it's just over 12,500 a year before they pay tax. So we pay ourselves, I think it's £1,047 each per month, which keeps us within that 12.5 grand tax threshold. Then when the company makes profit, we pay ourselves additional wages from the profit. because when you're a director and you take dividends, you only pay, I think it's something like 8% tax on those dividends. It's something like that. They keep changing it, which obviously is more tax efficient. But you can only do that if the company's making a profit. And last year we didn't make enough profit. So this month we've paid ourselves a wage, but I've had to pay ourselves slightly more than I would normally, which obviously we're then going to pay tax on, because there isn't the profit there to pay us. Now, obviously, when I do that, when I pay us slightly more, that means the business makes less profit. So once you get to that point, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword and a vicious circle. So I am keeping such a close eye on my figures to try to make sure that we are going to make a profit each month. So let's get into the figures. So because Not on the High Street run Monday to Sunday, I can't actually input those figures until tomorrow morning when today has ended. But we've probably only earned, I think, about £400 this week on Not on the High Street. So this month, without the Not on the High Street money, we earned £8,453. Now that is excluding VAT. So we actually earned slightly more than that, but forget the VAT because I have to give it straight to the VAT man. So when I put it into my accountancy package, it shows you the figures less the VAT. Last month, we did 9,239. So we'll probably be quite close to that, maybe just around the 9,000 mark, which is kind of where we need to be if we want to make a profit now that we've got rid of all of our overheads pretty much. Our cost of sales this month. So that is basically all of the costs that we need to make the business run. So there'll be things like Not on the High Street commission, materials that I have to buy in, obviously blank products that we then adapt and sell, card fees, Etsy commission, what else is in there? Our postage and shipping, packaging, those kind of things. The stuff that we the costs that we accrue by selling stuff, and those would be classed as variable costs because the more we sell, the more those costs increase. Whereas fixed costs are things might be like things like, you know, rent if you had it, electricity, things like that. So our cost of sales this month were £2,810. So that gives us a gross profit of £5,645. But then you have to deduct everything else, like your wages, your fixed costs, and all of that stuff. Staff cost this month, £3,185. So that is what my husband and I paid ourselves, obviously divided between us, but that does include things like tax that then goes to the government. It includes any pension payments, all of that stuff as well. So it's not necessarily our take-home pay, but that is what the company paid to staff this month, which leaves us with a profit. Yes! So we did make a profit this month, I'm really pleased to say, of £821. Now, when I put the Not on the High Street figures in, that should go up, I'm hoping, to about £1,000 or just over £1,000, which is fantastic. And my kind of goal is for us to be making around about £1,000 profit each month. And then as we get towards Christmas, we'll have a big boom over Christmas, and then we will hopefully, like, the business will be in a good place again. So the profit that we made this month, I want to kind of reinvest some of that into the new product lines that we're talking about doing. So if you watched my video from a couple of weeks ago, I spoke about the evolution of Hubinu and how I want to sort of not move away from doing pet products, because that still is part of my kind of like overall passion and goal, but to sort of like expand out rather than niche down. So I want the business, I think, you can watch the video if you like. It goes into a lot of depth about what I felt has gone wrong with the business, how I've lost my passion for it, and that the business needs to have like a real kind of like a mission and a sense of purpose. And I want that to be about encouraging people to make time for themselves and take care of themselves better, which includes things like walking your dog, but would also include journaling, writing letters to pen pals, scrapbooking, crafts, all those kind of like slow analog hobbies. And this week and last week, so last week I started reading again for the first time in months, made a huge difference to my mental health. And then this week I finally started doing a jigsaw puzzle that I have had sitting on my shelf for well over a year. And I have really enjoyed it, and it's really helped. It's helped for me to unwind, it's helped for me to kind of relieve stress, and it's helped for me to kind of disconnect. So I really want to build a business where that is the kind of core principle of it. And obviously in order to do that, I need to buy products in. And we are attending Stationery Fest at the end of July. Really hope you'll be there. If you are, please do come over and say hello, and let me know that you watched the vlog. And I need to buy product in for that, because I want to have our own stickers, my designs, but I do also want to stock other sort of Japanese stationery items, because that's kind of where my passion lies. So that's what I'm thinking. So what I've done in order to get to this point of profit is we got rid of the unit, and Phoebe left, but it's other things as well. It's like really cutting back on any like subscriptions that we didn't need, because our overhead costs are still quite high, just because of the way the business runs. This is my very colourful spreadsheet. And in my spreadsheet, what I worked out was, what are my fixed outgoings? So what are my complete non-negotiable, have to spend that money every month, no choice costs? And I listed them all here. And things like my accountant, it's things like our insurance, phone bill, Shopify fees, all of that kind of stuff. And these are the payments which will not change depending on how the orders go. Our fixed outgoings at the moment are around about £950, so not a huge amount of money at all. But it's the variable costs, which obviously change depending on how well the business does or doesn't do. And it's things like commission. And we have a lot of places that we sell where the commission's really high. So like not on the high street, the commission's 25%. With Etsy, it's around about 15%. So the place where we pay the least commission is obviously Shopify. So we need to start encouraging more customers to come directly to us. Obviously involved in that is a marketing cost, which you kind of have to factor in, almost like I do with the commission, because if you don't market, how will people find you? Unless you're working on things like search engine optimization, which is what I'm trying to do at the moment as well, to improve our website. And I'm also doing TikTok lives. Did a TikTok live last night. My plan is to do another one tonight. I kind of want to go live every day for a week. So if you're on TikTok, give us a follow on Hubinu and look out for the lives. I usually do them between sort of like 8:30, 9 p.m. of an evening, just because I feel like that's when people are around. And I just sit there, chat to the people that are there. I have my sort of big board up with all the dog things on. And until I start adding more items, like our stationery items, that's what's on there at the moment. And last night I had 3 sales while I was doing the TikTok live, and loads of people followed us as well. So I just think it's a great way to sort of market, because even if they don't want to buy right then, they might hopefully come back to us later. The variable costs are just over 3,000 a month, and the wages are about £3,000 a month. So that means that our running costs are around about £7,500, which is a lot of money. So then in order for us to make a profit, and obviously that's depends on how much stock I buy in as well, what we run out of. The things that I have done to try to include the profitability, apart from getting rid of things like Photoshop, other subscriptions that we didn't need, is I have massively streamlined our product offering, so that we are not having to order in and hold stock of items that we might sell periodically in kind of like dribs and drabs. And I have cut it right down to the core of the products that we sell regularly all the time at enough of a rate whereby it's worth me holding that stock. And what I need to do now, I have a cash flow spreadsheet that the accountant sent to me, which will enable me to properly manage our cash flow. Because whilst we might make a profit, we've made a profit, cash flow is like a whole different thing, because sometimes you've got money going out, like things like VAT, like a big lump, which means we've got more money going out than we have coming in. I did a video right back at the beginning about profit first, which is how I will put money into pots to make sure I've got money for tax and the wages and things like that. So we made the decision this month to put our prices up. Now that came from necessity, because obviously after doing the figures last year, and our tax year runs April to April, we had turned over 174,000 and only made something like 2,600 profit, which is just, that's not right. So obviously something was wrong and needed to change. So that's when I started to sort of have a think about, okay, well, perhaps we're not charging enough then, because of our overheads and everything else. We've reduced the overheads now. And David was like, we've got to put the prices up. It's something I've always struggled with. I think when you are a creative, asking people to pay for something that you've created is you always, I mean, I can only speak for me, but I always feel a bit like, oh, like, is it worth it? And why would people pay that for my art? And, and you have to believe in yourself more. You have to understand that people will buy your work because they love it and because they want to. And you're not making them. So I was like, okay, right, we need to put the prices up. So certainly on websites like Not on the High Street and Etsy, where we're paying high commission, we have to put the prices up. Now, there's a real school of thought on this, which I do sort of subscribe to, because the accountant said, but if you lower the price by £1 per unit, you'll get X amount more orders, and then it won't affect your profit margin percentage, which I have to admit is something I don't really look at very often, which is the percentage of profit per item sold. And you'll probably get more orders because the items are less. So that's one school of thought. Now, the other school of thought, which is kind of the way I'm leaning in, just because of the situation we're in at the moment, is okay, so we put the prices up, we get less orders, but we're making the same amount of profit. And because it is just David and I, it means that we're less stressed. And that to me is more important, because if we are working harder, but for the same money, that doesn't make any sense to me. And also, if we're getting more individual orders, that means our postage bill is higher as well. It means the commission is higher. So for me, and I could be wrong, please do feel free to comment if you think I'm wrong in this thinking. But to me, logically, it makes more sense to have less orders and be making the same money, but be less stressed. So that's kind of what we're thinking of at the moment. So the prices went up, but what we have done is on our site, we've tried to encourage more incentives for customers. So we have a multi-buy offer on the pet tags. If they buy 2 pet tags, they used to get 10% off. They now get 15% off. I want to increase the discount we offer for people when they join our mailing list, because I've been doing more email marketing and have been finding it really effective. So, and this weekend we've done a free shipping offer. If they spend £10, they get free UK shipping, which ends midnight tonight. And I've promoted that via our email marketing as well. So what I want to do is kind of make the customers feel really valued, the customers that come and shop with us directly, because that's where we want them to shop with us, because that's where we make the most profit. So we want to make sure that they feel valued and they're getting the best deals and the best offering. With our website, what we want to do is we've done a referral program. So like if you refer a friend and they buy, then you get a discount. But I want to set up a loyalty scheme as well, so that every time a customer shops with us, they're earning points, which they can then redeem for things. So that's kind of how I'm thinking moving forward. I am feeling a little bit more positive now that we've made a profit. That does feel good. And I'm hoping that that continues into next month as well. I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on things. And it's been half term this week, so this is the perfect week to do this kind of video. But next week we'll kind of be back to probably our usual format as I start to work on designing and preparing products for Stationery Fest. So hopefully this has been useful. I certainly don't want to share these figures like to sound in any way kind of like braggy. It's more about, I think it's an individual choice for every business owner how open they are about things like this. And I certainly wouldn't suggest that anybody has to share, their figures or their turnover or anything like that. But I've always just been very open about it because, it might help somebody. And I think it's just, starting out my business journey way back when, it probably would have been helpful for me to understand more of these things then. So hopefully it's helpful and hopefully it's interesting. But yes, that's kind of where we are at the moment. And that kind of makes me feel now